Amara grew up in a small village nestled amidst rolling hills. The air was always filled with the scent of freshly tilled earth and blooming hibiscus flowers. Life in the village was slow and predictable, governed by the rhythms of nature and the weight of tradition. Amara was a quiet and respectful girl, her heart filled with faith and a deep love for her family. Her days were spent helping her mother with household chores, tending to their small garden, and attending prayers at the village church. The church stood as a beacon of hope and guidance, its steeple reaching towards the heavens. Sundays were particularly special. Amara would dress in her finest clothes, a brightly patterned Ankara dress and a matching head wrap. She would join her family and neighbors on the wooden pews, their voices uniting in hymns of praise and supplication. The pastor, a man revered for his wisdom and piety, held a position of great influence in their lives. His words carried the weight of divine authority, shaping their beliefs and guiding their actions. Amara trusted him implicitly, believing that his counsel was a reflection of God's will. When Amara blossomed into a young woman, talk turned to marriage. It was expected, even encouraged, for a woman of her age to find a husband and start a family. It was the traditional path, one that had been followed by generations before her. One Sunday after the service, the pastor called Amara aside. He had a proposal, a young man he deemed suitable for her hand in marriage. His name was Cheek, and he came from a neighboring village. The pastor spoke highly of Cheik's character, praising his strong work ethic and devotion to the church. Amara's heart fluttered with a mixture of nerves and anticipation. She had caught glimpses of Cheik at gatherings and found him to be handsome, with a warm smile that reached his eyes. Trusting in the pastor's judgment and her family's blessings, Amara agreed to the union. The wedding was a joyous occasion, a celebration of two lives merging into one. The air buzzed with excitement as villagers from both communities gathered to witness the sacred vows being exchanged. Amara, adorned in a white gown and veil, felt a surge of hope for the future. The early days of their marriage were filled with the sweetness of new love. Cheik was attentive and charming, showering Amara with affection and small gestures of kindness. He helped her with chores around their modest home and always made sure she felt heard and appreciated. However, as the weeks turned into months, a subtle shift occurred in Cheik's demeanor. His once warm smile became less frequent, replaced by a brooding intensity that made Amara uneasy. He grew increasingly controlling, dictating her every move and isolating her from her friends and family. At first, Amara dismissed these changes as mere adjustments to married life. Perhaps Cheik was simply stressed from work or overwhelmed by the responsibilities of being a husband. She reasoned that all marriages had their challenges, and that this was just a phase they needed to navigate together. But deep down, a seed of doubt had been planted in Amara's heart. The man she thought she knew, the one who had wooed her with his charm, seemed to be fading away, replaced by someone she barely recognized. Fear, like a venomous serpent, began to coil itself around her heart. The abuse began slowly, almost imperceptibly. A harsh word here, a dismissive gesture there, but like a raging fire, it quickly escalated, consuming everything in its path. Cheik's true nature, masked by a veneer of respectability, was laid bare. He would lash out at Amara verbally, belittling her intelligence and questioning her every action. His words, laced with venom and disdain, chipped away at her self-esteem, leaving her feeling small and insignificant. The physical abuse soon followed, leaving bruises on her body and scars on her soul. Amara felt trapped, caught in a web of fear and despair. She was raised to believe that marriage was sacred, a bond not to be broken no matter the circumstances. The thought of leaving Cheik, of shaming her family and defying the traditions she held dear, filled her with overwhelming dread. But everything changed when Amara gave birth to her son, a beautiful baby boy with eyes that mirrored her own. Holding her child in her arms, she was overcome with a fierce love and a primal instinct to protect him from harm. She knew she could no longer subject her son to the toxic environment that had become their reality. The decision to leave was not an easy one. It was a leap of faith, a plunge into the unknown. But Amara knew in her heart that it was the only path forward, the only way to break free from the cycle of abuse and reclaim her life. One night, while Cheik was away, Amara packed a small bag with a few essential belongings and her son's favorite toys. With her heart pounding in her chest, she quietly slipped out of the house and into the darkness, the weight of her decision heavy on her shoulders. She returned to her village, seeking refuge in the familiar embrace of her family. They welcomed her with open arms, their love and support unwavering despite the shame and stigma associated with separation. Her family, her pillar of strength, provided the safe haven she desperately needed. The road to healing was long and arduous. Amara bore the emotional scars of her abusive marriage like open wounds, raw and painful. But with the love and support of her family, she began to piece her life back together. Section 6. A mother's love, a woman's strength. Amara found solace in caring for her son, her love for him a beacon of light in the darkness. His laughter filled her days with joy, reminding her of the strength that resided within her. She poured all her energy into creating a stable and loving home for him, determined to break the cycle of abuse and provide him with the happy childhood she never had. As time passed, the pain of the past began to fade, replaced by a newfound sense of purpose. Amara discovered a strength she never knew she possessed, a resilience forged in the fires of adversity. She learned to stand tall, to hold her head high, and to face the world with unwavering determination. Amara's family supported her decision to return to school. She pursued a degree in education, driven by a desire to empower other young women and provide them with the tools they needed to create better lives for themselves. She found solace in her studies, her mind embracing knowledge as a lifeline. Her son thrived in their small village, surrounded by the love of his extended family and the warmth of their community. He grew into a bright and compassionate young boy, his laughter echoing through the streets like a melody. Section 7. Shadows of the Past. Years passed and Amara blossomed. She became a respected teacher, her classroom a sanctuary of learning and encouragement. She found love again, a love built on mutual respect, trust, and shared dreams. Her life was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. News of Amara's transformation reached Cheek. The man who had once sought to control her, to break her spirit, now saw the woman she had become. He saw her strength, her independence, her unwavering love for their son. Remorse, like a bitter pill, settled in his gut. One day, Cheek appeared at Amara's doorstep, his shoulders slumped with the weight of his past actions. His eyes, once filled with anger and resentment, now held a flicker of regret. He had come seeking forgiveness, hoping to atone for the pain he had inflicted upon her. Amara's heart pounded as she looked at the man who had once held so much power over her. Memories, both painful and bittersweet, flooded her mind, but as she gazed at Cheek, she felt no anger, no hatred, only a profound sadness. Section 8. Forgiveness Denied. Cheek spoke of remorse, of the transformative power of forgiveness. He begged for a second chance, an opportunity to right the wrongs of the past. He spoke of their son, of the years he had missed, and the desire to be a part of his life. Amara listened patiently, her heart heavy with the weight of his words. She had every right to be angry, to lash out at him for the pain he had caused. But as she looked at the man standing before her, she saw not the monster who had haunted her nightmares, but a broken man, consumed by regret. "Cheek," she said, her voice soft but firm, "what you did to me was wrong. You hurt me, you terrified me, and you stole my sense of self-worth. I spent years trying to heal from the wounds you inflicted, both physical and emotional." "I understand," Cheek whispered, his voice thick with shame. "I was a different man then, blinded by anger and pride. I take full responsibility for my actions, and I will spend the rest of my life trying to atone for them." Section 9. Amara's Triumph. Forgiveness is a journey, Cheek, one that I have chosen to take for myself. But forgiveness does not equal reconciliation. What we had is over, and I have moved on with my life. Amara's voice was resolute, her gaze unwavering. She had found peace, not through forgiveness of her abuser, but through forgiveness of herself. She had forgiven herself for staying, for believing that she was somehow to blame. "As for our son," Amara continued, "he knows who you are. I have never spoken ill of you to him. If he chooses to have a relationship with you, that is his decision to make, but I will not force it." With those words, Amara closed the door on the past. She refused to allow Cheek's actions to define her present or dictate her future. She was no longer the scared girl who had fled into the night. She was a survivor, a beacon of strength and resilience. Amara's story is a testament to the indomitable spirit that resides within us all. It is a story of hope, of healing, and of the transformative power of finding your voice and reclaiming your power.